All right, number 13, in a right triangle, one leg measures 4 square root of 2 and the hypotenuse measures 9. They want us to find the length of the other leg. So here we are, right triangle. One leg measures 4 radical 2. The hypotenuse rather measures 9. Pythagorean theorem time, okay? I'm going to call this B. So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 4 square root of 2 squared plus b squared is equal to 9 squared. All right, I opened up the calculator to show you a few things. A lot of you are having trouble squaring 4 square root of 2, and I think this is probably the easiest way to do it. To type in 4 square root of 2, then press enter, and then square it. That's probably the easiest way to do it for a lot of you. So it is 32 plus b squared is 9 squared is 81. Subtract 32 from both sides, and b squared turns out to be 49. So b is 7. And there's your answer. By the way, if you want to do this by hand, 4 square root of 2 squared is 4 square root of 2 times 4 square root of 2. So 4 times 4 is 16. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, which is 2. And 16 times 2 is 32. That's where the 32 comes from. All right, number 14, they say in the diagram below, altitude AD is drawn to hypotenuse BC. BC is 13. DC is 9. They want us to figure out AD and AB. So AD is an altitude, okay? And I'll call it X. If we want to find the altitude, we try to use PAP, which we can here. We just have to be clever enough to realize that 13 minus 9 is 4 will give us the other projection. So for AD, we're going to use PAP. So here we go. Projection 4 over altitude x equals same altitude x over different projection 9. 4 times 9 is 36, so we get 36 is x squared, taking the square root, and x is 6. So AD is 6. Going back up, and they asked us to find AB as well. AB is a leg, so I'm going to call it Y. Since a leg, since we have the hypotenuse, we have a projection, we can use help. Help, 13 is the hypotenuse over the leg, which we called Y, equals same leg over the projection on that side of the picture, which is not a 9, it's a 4. So cross multiplying, we get 52 is Y squared. Taking the square root, we get Y is square root of 52, which simplifies. So the largest perfect square that divides into 52 is 4, and 13 is left over, so we get 2 coming out of the radical, 13 staying in, and that is equal to Y, which is AB. So AD is 6, AB is 2 radical 13. And number 15. Number 15 was hard because you had to draw it. It says in triangle ABC, medians AR, BS, and CT are concurrent. What does that all mean? Well, a median connects a midpoint to a vertex, or a vertex to the opposite midpoint. So A connects to R on the opposite side of the triangle. B connects to S, and S is the midpoint of AC. And then C connects to T, and notice, if you do this nice and neatly, you get a concurrence, meaning 3 lines that intersect. If you check your notes, we did the word concurrent when we did this. And they're concurrent at point M, which is the centroid. So if AM is 12, what is the length of AR? Now, if you do this carefully, you'll know that you'll see that AM is the longer piece, the big piece. And if I would like to I want to get AR, but quickly I can get the smaller piece by dividing. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And then we can get AR pretty easily. So AR would be 12 plus 6, which is 18. If you didn't draw that carefully, it might be hard for you to see that AM is the long piece. A word of advice, the big piece is attached to the vertex of the triangle, and the small piece is attached to the midpoint. So if you forget that, that's basically how the rule goes. All right, number 16 says, in triangle PQR, PQ is 5. Again, we're being given sides here, 3 letters. QR is 14, and I know that I didn't draw this to scale, but PR is 11. It says, what is the smallest angle? Smallest angle is opposite the smallest side. In this case, angle R would be the smallest angle. Number 17 says, 2, 6, and square root of 40 are the lengths of the sides of a triangle. Determine whether the triangle is a right triangle. Again, right triangle, Pythagorean theorem time. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Your legs, or potential legs, are 2 and 6. Those are the smaller pieces. And the square root of 40 is the large piece. 2 squared is 4. 6 squared is 36. And that's 40. And if you notice, square root of 40 squared, squaring and square roots are opposites. So these guys cancel each other out, and you get 40. Since both sides are equal to each other, this is a right triangle. So yes, this triangle is a right triangle. Since a squared plus b squared does in fact equal c squared. So using the Pythagorean theorem to verify that you have a right triangle. All right, number 18. This is a fantastic question. I love it. In a right triangle ABC, altitude CD is drawn to the hypotenuse. They want us to find CD. I said your answer will be a decimal, so you don't freak out when you get a decimal. All right, here's the dealio. We have this right triangle, the big one. Okay? We have 2 legs. We want to get the altitude. That is bad news for us, but we can get the hypotenuse of the big red triangle by using the Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared will get us this hypotenuse. So we have 9 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. So 9 squared is 81, 12 squared is 144, and 81 plus 144 is 225. Taking the square root on both sides, c is 15. So the hypotenuse is 15. Now we're in business. In order to use PAP, we need projections. We don't have projections, but we do have legs and a hypotenuse, and we have our friend help. So help will help us get the projection. So what I suppose is tricky about this is you have to pick a leg and go with it. I'm going to pick the 9. Okay? 15 over 9 equals, repeat the same leg 9 over the projection on that side. So I'm going to call this x, the projection on this side that's attached to the leg that we're working with. So we get 15x equals 81. 81 divided by 15 turns out to be 5.4. And this is where I said the decimals are going to come in. So we get that projection to be 5.4. Okay. Now, in order to use PAP to find the altitude, we need the other projection. Other projection's pretty easy. It's 15 minus 5.4, which is 9.6. And now we can use PAP to get the other to get the altitude. So I'm going to do PAP over here. Projection 5.4 over the altitude, which I'll just leave it as A, equals altitude over other projection, which is 9.6. 5.4. Uh-oh, we need to turn this back on, I think. Oh, there we go. 5.4 times 9.6 gives us 51.84. So 51.84 is equal to a squared. And taking the square root of both of those numbers, or sorry, taking the square root of 51.84. Oh, that disappeared. Okay. Hold on one second. So, sorry, 51.84 is equal to a squared. Taking the square root of 51.84, that is 7.2. So the altitude is 7.2. This is a fantastic question. If you understand this unit, if you understand this question, you really get this unit about how the Pythagorean theorem and how the right triangle relationships work. I mean, you really, if you understand how to do this question, you've earned your stars here. This is definitely a higher level thinking question. All right, number 19. I'm just going to erase all this beautiful work that we just did here, but oh well. And it says in right triangle ABC, BC is 12. AC is x minus 7, and the hypotenuse AB is 13. So I made this mistake on purpose. A lot of you didn't label the triangle correctly. The hypotenuse must be AB, which makes the legs BC and AC. So that makes C the right angle. So BC is 12, AC is x minus 7, and the hypotenuse is 13. Again, we have a right triangle, so we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So a squared, a is x minus 7 squared plus 12 squared. That's a bad 12. So 12 squared equals c squared. Now, here's where people were goofing on this in class. X minus 7 squared means you literally write down 2 copies of x minus 7, and you distribute that out, or as some of you say, FOIL. 12 squared is 144. And I didn't mean to leave c squared. I meant to put in the 13 there. That's the hypotenuse. So I'm going to adjust that. 13 squared, and 13 squared is 169. So multiplying out x times x is x squared. X times negative 7 is negative 7x. Another negative 7x. And a positive 49. A lot of people goofed on that today. Negative times a negative is a positive. Plus 144 equals 169. Simplifying the left-hand side will get us x squared minus 14x plus 49 and 144 makes 193 equals 169. Subtract 169 from both sides, and we get x squared minus 14x plus 24 equals 0. And we can factor this. So we get x and x, minus and minus, 12 and 2. So what happens here is we end up getting 2 answers, which are both positive for x. So this is a little unique. You don't usually get this. We usually get one positive, one negative. But if we go back to the original problem, if x is 2, I want to just view this a little smaller. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. I just wanted to view this a little smaller. If x is 2, so if x is 2, 2 minus 7 is negative 5. Well, that's a problem. We can't have a negative side length. So this is actually rejected, not because it's negative, but because it produces a negative side for us. So now x is 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. And they ask us for the perimeter of the triangle. So the perimeter would be 5 plus 12 plus 13, which is 30. So the perimeter of this triangle would be 30. And we're done. That's it.